My name is Sarah. I am 38 years old, and today I have nothing. I sit on a cold park bench while my two children, Leo and Mia, sleep beside me. They are shivering in the night air, so I take off my coat and cover them, even though the freezing wind bites my skin. A month ago, I had a warm home, a husband, and dreams for the future. I never imagined my life would end like this. I look at my dirty hands and the empty street and ask myself, how did I get here? I am tired and broken, but I cannot sleep. If I sleep, who will protect my children? Life was never easy for me. My parents died when I was very young, and I grew up alone, without brothers, sisters, or grandparents. At school, I was always the quiet girl sitting by herself. I dreamed of having a real family someday. Then I met Mark. He was charming and kind, and he promised I would never be lonely again. I believed him completely. We married, and when Leo and Mia were born, I thought my life had finally become perfect. I stayed home, cooked meals, cleaned the house, and loved my family with all my heart. But people change. Over the last year, Mark became distant. He came home late and stopped talking to me. Sometimes he smelled of perfume that was not mine. When I tried to speak to him, he grew angry. "You are boring, Sarah," he said. "I need more." His words hurt deeply, but I still hoped our marriage could be saved. One snowy Tuesday evening in New York, my world collapsed. Mark came home with a young woman standing beside him. He looked at me with cold eyes and told me to pack my bags. I thought he was joking, but he wasn't. He said he wanted a divorce and that the house now belonged to the other woman. I begged him to think about our children, but he pushed our suitcases outside and slammed the door behind us. The sound echoed in my heart. Leo and Mia cried for their father, but the lights inside the house went dark. We were completely alone. We walked through the snow to a bus station while I counted the little money left in my pocket. Mark controlled all our bank accounts, leaving me almost nothing. My children whispered that they were hungry and cold, and I hugged them tightly, promising everything would be okay, even though I was terrified. Desperate for shelter, I found a cheap room online and paid the landlord my last $500. When we arrived, the key did not work. A stranger opened the door and told me I had been scammed. My savings were gone. I fell onto the cold pavement, unable to cry or scream. That night, we stayed inside a 24-hour fast food restaurant where a kind manager allowed us to rest until morning. The next day, reality hit me hard. I had no home, no money, and no support, but I was still a mother. I found work as a night cleaner in a large office building. The pay was low, yet I accepted immediately. Every night I scrubbed floors, cleaned toilets, and carried heavy trash bags for 12 long hours. My hands cracked from chemicals, and my back ached constantly. I bought bread for Leo and Mia while pretending I had already eaten. In truth, I survived on water so my children would not go hungry. We stayed in a small motel run by Mr. Henderson, a man who cared only about payment. "No money, no room," he repeated daily. I worked harder and slept less, trying to save enough to survive another week. One freezing evening while cleaning outside the office building, I noticed an old woman sitting alone on a bench. She was shaking violently, wearing thin clothes, while people walked past without stopping. I recognized the loneliness in her eyes because I felt it too. Around my neck was a red wool scarf, the last gift from my mother and my most precious possession. Without hesitation, I removed it and wrapped it gently around the woman's shoulders. The cold hit me instantly, but she smiled and whispered, "Thank you." I returned to work, unaware that this simple act would change my life. 2 weeks later, exhaustion finally defeated me. While cleaning the lobby at 3 in the morning, dizziness overwhelmed me. The room spun, dark spots filled my vision, and I collapsed onto the floor. When I woke, I was lying in a hospital bed. Panic rushed through me until a nurse assured me my children were safe nearby. Fear returned when I realized I could never afford hospital treatment. Then a well-dressed man entered the room pushing a wheelchair. Sitting in it was the old woman I had helped, still wearing my red scarf. The man introduced himself as James and explained that she was his mother, Mrs. Higgins, who suffered from Alzheimer's disease and had wandered away that night. Doctors believed she would have frozen to death if I had not given her warmth. James told me he owned the hospital and had already paid my medical bill. Seeing my shock, he handed me an envelope. Inside was a job offer managing the hospital kitchen and canteen, complete with a good salary, health insurance, and a small apartment for my family. He said kindness shows true character, and he wanted to give me a chance for a new future. With tears in my eyes, I accepted. Life did not become easy overnight, but slowly everything changed. I learned my new job and regained my strength. 3 months later, Leo, Mia, and I moved into our warm staff apartment. For the first time in months, my children slept peacefully without fear or cold. Mrs. Higgins visited often, proudly wearing the red scarf that had connected our lives. I lost my husband, but I found my dignity. I lost my house, but I found a real home. Living on the streets taught me an important lesson. Even when you have nothing, you can still give kindness. Kindness never loses its value. It always returns, sometimes exactly when you need it most. I was once the abandoned wife and the exhausted cleaner, but today I am Sarah, a proud mother and a happy woman. If this story touched your heart, please like and share this video. Your support helps stories of hope reach more people. Remember, kindness creates miracles. Thank you for watching.